Hello readers, I'm Amy, and today we are going to talk about Dorothy Must Die. Forgive the background noise, we have someone hanging out in the living room, but I am leaving for a couple of days in the morning, so I need to get this review finished, because if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it, because I like to put things off. So, Dorothy Must Die. I've talked about book 1 on my channel. I don't believe I got around to talking about the second one. Because I don't think I've done a wrap-up since then. Anyways, Dorothy Must Die. I've got some thoughts. I'm glad I read this series. I really enjoyed it, even though it had a bunch of stuff that I don't really enjoy in books. It was just kind of a one-off for me. Like, I would never really usually enjoy stuff like this, but I loved pretty much everything about it until the last book. So, I don't know. It was just a weird series for me. I'm gonna try not to spoil a bunch of stuff. I will talk a little vaguely about the last book, but no real spoilers, just some opinions. So, let's get started with that. Alright, Dorothy Must Die. We have Amy Gum, who is our main character, and she's the other girl from Kansas who got caught up in a storm and sent off to Oz. And ends up Dorothy ruined everything. So the lion's courage has made him quite a dangerous beast. The scarecrow's brains have turned him into a creepy scientist guy who... He's a creepy scientist guy. And the Tin Man's heart has given him a little bit of heartache. Yeah. Also, Dorothy's an evil bitch who is ruining everything for everyone and has forced this idea of happiness on people. And we do get a little bit of her personal perspective in the last book, which I have mixed feelings on. Like, we didn't get her perspective for any of the first 3 books, and then we get some of her perspective in the last book, and that didn't really feel right. Like, it wasn't consistent with the other books. But I did enjoy getting her perspective. She's pretty terrible, and she's just like, she thinks that people are happy and excited when they're not. Like, they're very clearly just doing it because they're scared, but she takes that as happiness because she sees the action instead of the emotion. So that was interesting to see. Throughout this book, we've got a bunch of wars going on. We get to meet the flying monkeys, and the magic of Oz is a little confusing for me. I liked the magic in that I enjoyed just going along with the magic. I didn't put a bunch of thought into reading this series. It is a YA series, so I think a lot of the stuff that I didn't like about it, especially with the last book, unfortunately is pretty typical of YA, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't really enjoy it that much generally as a genre. But something about these books just got me. So throughout this series, we get to meet the other witches as Amy Gum joins the Revolutionary Order of the Wicked. She's trying to find out what's wicked, what's good. It's kind of hard to tell in Oz. Stuff is crazy. And she goes along, she's training, she's learning magic, she's learning how to fight. And the magic system was one of the first things that kind of got to me. Like, I enjoyed it, and I also didn't enjoy it. So, it's YA. A lot of the things that I don't like about YA were put into this series. So while I did really enjoy the book, or the whole series, there are some really serious issues with it that unfortunately I find are super common in YA. The magic isn't really a YA thing. I think it can be a poor fantasy thing where I enjoyed it, I went along with it. It was a pretty simple magic system in that, like, it didn't really have a lot of rules. It was a very, very soft magic system. I didn't like that there was pretty much no rules. Like, stuff that you would think couldn't happen actually did end up happening, and we didn't really get an explanation why. It was just because magic. So that wasn't super well done. Again, unfortunately, it's kind of what I've come to expect from a lot of series that are made for younger audiences. One thing I will say, though, with this being a YA series, is it gets really, really dark in a way that I don't expect. So, and again, that's on me. That's on my expectations from reading YA. So, soft magic system, that was one thing. And then, towards book 3 is when I started to question what was going on in this series. I was really enjoying it. I really liked the darkness. I really liked the questioning of what's good and what's wicked, and no one's really telling the truth. No one's really giving the full story. It really kept me guessing throughout the whole series. But around book 3, we had some stuff happen that I'm like, okay, where are you going with this? I don't know that I like this direction, and I ended up enjoying it. But some of the stuff that started happening in book 3 were some pretty big elements that didn't really feel like they had enough time. I wouldn't have minded if either some elements were cut out of this series or if this series had been extended. There are 9 prequel novellas that talk about Dorothy's story before the happenings of these 4 books. I'm probably still going to read those, even though I'm back and forth on my feelings about this. But either some stuff should have been cut or the series should have been extended, because what happened in book 3 was stuff that I wouldn't normally like the direction of, that I still ended up having fun with, but it was also like we get halfway through the book and stuff is already so drastically changed that I'm like, that's it? That's all the time that you're spending on that? And then we get to the 4th book, and I'm pretty much going to pretend that the 4th book didn't happen. I still enjoyed certain elements of it. I liked finishing the series and wrapping it up, like the feeling of finishing the series, but I'm also like, what did you do? This goes back to my feelings with book 3, where the author is just balancing a lot of different things in this series, and unfortunately, not only was the ending a pretty bad trope, it also generally just felt lazy. Which wasn't something that I was really expecting, because I think it really felt like the author put her all into this series and was like, I'm just gonna have fun with this. But by the time I get to the last book, there's so many different loose ends and things going on that we haven't totally figured out yet, that while the ending felt really lazy, I'm also not that mad about it. So if you've watched some of my recent reviews, you know that Binti, for example, was really upsetting to me. The ending totally ruined the book for me, but I didn't get that same feeling with this. Like, I still hated the trope that we ended on. I feel like it was lazy. I feel like it wasn't well done. But the ending of this book, of this series, was like, you had so much going on that you were having trouble balancing it, and I can see why you did that thing. Whereas with Binti, it's like, why did you do that thing? You had no reason to do that thing. So this ending didn't ruin the series for me in any way. And I would still highly recommend picking it up if you want something dark, if you're into retellings. Apparently I'm really into retellings. That's, I guess, one of the fantasy sections that I really like, or fantasy genres. So I did really enjoy this series, and I have mixed feelings on it, but I feel like I'm still going to give it a high rating, because even though my feelings are so mixed, I can already feel that this series is going to stick with me for a while. And if something really sticks with you for a while, that can be a good thing. So, props for that. That's kind of it. My filming of this is kind of a mess, so I will see how it ends up in editing. But hopefully you can comprehend what I was talking about. And I'm not even sure I can comprehend what I was talking about. But anyways, I enjoyed the series. Pick it up. Tell me what you think. If you've read it before, please leave a comment down below. So that's it for me for today. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I'll see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.